Something, man, that we can't ignore, no matter how talented Ciryl Gane is, he has shown a tendency to have poor IQ and decision-making skills when he's not fighting somebody he's just more athletic than. Like, whenever it came down to actually having to fight, and you can't just dance around them because you're faster and you got more reach. And remember, he fought Rosenstrike and he just kind of pieced him up the whole time. And then there was the fight with Volkov where that fight should have never went the distance. He did whatever he wanted to and he was playing around. But then whenever it came down to people who don't allow themselves to be a punching bag for him and he actually has to fight, like with the Francis and Ngannou fight, how did you let Francis out-wrestle you like that? And then with the John Jones thing, you see he going for a guillotine and then you make it worse on yourself and actually help him lock it in. Like, it seemed like as soon as the fight hit the ground, or it's time to start actually using some mental strategy, Ciryl Gane is nowhere to be found. He really can only win athletic when he got all the athletic.
But that's what John Jones said before the fight. We actually got a short about that when he kind of broke down Ciryl Gane's game. That's the thing that John Jones said. He said that Ciryl Gane, he don't really have the best striking defense. He rely on his footwork and his athletic ability and his movement. He don't really have the best takedown defense. He rely on distance. He rely on being...
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just the fact that when people get past that, he don't have nothing else to offer. That's pretty terrible, man.
I see what you're saying, because even when Derek Lewis fought Ciryl Gane, I think if Derek would have had more of a wrestling approach, the fight would have been a little bit different. He still would have lost, obviously, but the fight would have been a lot closer, man. And the thing is, it's almost like, man, fighters who have the technique, that's what we're trying to say. You ever notice it, like when a fighter who can actually wrestle, like not Derek, because Derek was trying to grab him and throw him down. Derek was trying to take him down. Derek was trying to muscle him. You can't really muscle Ciryl Gane because he's a big, strong guy. But it seems like people actually have the fundamentals to get him down.
Even worse, there was times on the ground with Francis where he actually could have got up and he made it worse on himself. And they allowed Francis to hold him down. There was times where he was trying to go for submissions and little weird stuff. And I'm like, dude, you in the 4th round, you in the 5th round of a title fight. Why are you diving for heel hooks? Didn't he go for a submission or something at some point and Francis reversed it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, are you crazy?
I'm going to just be honest with you, man. I'm going to just say it. Ciryl Gane's performances against Francis and Ngannou don't even look real. I don't know how to say it, but it just looked like he allowed Francis to do whatever he wanted. Because that fight was there for him. I do think you can argue that Ciryl Gane beat Francis. That fight was really close, man. But at the same time, my theory is I think Ciryl Gane is a lazy fighter.
What? Hold on.
And I mean for the elites. I'm talking about like for all the elites, like him being an elite fighter in the top 5. I think he's the one, because even against Volkov, he pulled away a little bit. He just do a little bit more than his opponents.
There was no reason that fight should have went 25 minutes. There was no reason in the world. Another thing is, Ciryl Gane, as talented as he is, one of his weaknesses is his personality. He's very laid back and nonchalant. And he actually bring that with him in the octagon. The #1 place you can't bring it.
You know, it's funny.
It's good to be calm and it's good to have a level head.
And when he fought Derek Lewis was just making jokes and stuff, and Ciryl Gane was clapping. He was clapping during the pre-fight conference, man. He was like, "Oh, I love Derek."
Another thing
like, bro,
is,
you know, you fighting the #1 knockout artist ever.
Another thing is, Ciryl Gane pick and choose who he gonna show up and outperform. For instance, his last fight against Sergey Spivak, why you didn't show up against Francis? Why you didn't show up against John Jones? Was he gonna still win those fights? It ain't for me to say if he was gonna still win if he had a different approach.
Hey, what John Jones said.
But I'm talking about the effort. When he fought Sergey Spivak, he beat him up like he's supposed to beat him up.
And what John Jones said on the embedded video,
Francis, he said Ciryl Gane was just happy to be there.
Yeah.
John Jones said, I'm fighting for legacy, and Ciryl was just happy to be here.
He said he's just in my way or something like that. And I was like, that kind of sums up everything, because it does seem like Ciryl Gane just happy to be in the moment. Even it's a certain image I got of whenever they both weighed in, they faced off, and they would kind of stand next to each other, and they both were moving around side to side. And Ciryl Gane's body language looked like, okay, I'm happy to be in this moment. And John looked like, okay, let's take care of business. And I think Ciryl Gane, maybe he made it further than what he thought he would have made it, but it seems like there's something there, man. Like there's a mental thing there to where maybe he don't feel like he's a champion or something like that.
But I'm gonna tell you something else. Ciryl Gane is by far the luckiest fighter we ever seen in the octagon. Some of the people that he fought, man, he just out-athleted them. If that ain't even a word, but he was just more athletic than them.
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary. He literally just danced around them and made it look so easy. Because remember now, people was a little frustrated with that fight before Derek Lewis. Was that the Jairzinho fight?
Yeah.
It was one of those fights where people looked at that performance and said, that fight shouldn't have went the way it did. You was too dominant and you played around and you made us watch this boring fight.
The Rosenstrike, he did a little bit more than Rosenstrike. It wasn't that one. And that's the thing with Ciryl Gane, man. Like, Tom going out there to finish you. If you land 30 strikes, he's gonna try to land 40. You know, he's gonna try to land 45. That's just an example. That's not the real numbers. I'm just saying he's gonna try to do a little bit more. But there's no way in the world I think Ciryl Gane would beat Sergey. I don't think he would beat Sergey
Pavlovich.
Yeah, Pavlovich. There was no way Ciryl Gane would have beat him. Because Tom was like, man, he kept his composure and he knew I had to knock him out before he knocked me out. And Ciryl Gane don't have that mindset, man.
Ciryl Gane got
he gonna dance
a
around.
mindset of, I'm gonna dance around you. And if you just happen to wilt and start looking for a way out, then I'll give it to you. But if you would just stand there and take this beating for 25 minutes, then it's going to be a frustrating 25 minutes.
And then even when he fought against Sergey, man, Sergey Spivak, it looked like Sergey didn't want to be in there. If that makes sense.
It looked
like Ciryl Gane, he used to fighters not showing up against him. He used to be like a bully against somebody like Tom Aspinall, who's the bully. He's the hammer. He's trying to be the hammer and you're going to be the nail. I don't think he can out-bully a Tom Aspinall. And then he can hurt him and then submit him.
Hey, I was thinking this too. I'm glad you said that. You reminded me. Think about when Tatu Ivasa landed that big punch that dropped Ciryl Gane. If that same thing happened against Tom Aspinall, Tom would have finished that fight because Tom would have submitted.
Maybe.
I
said maybe. And the reason why I say maybe is, I mean, obviously we've seen Ciryl Gane get submitted in the first round. But the reason why I say maybe, the reason why I don't like
kind of contradicting yourself because we just said that if John Jones did it, Tom got a similar approach to the fighting where he could do the same thing. So how could it be a maybe and not a definite?
I say it's a maybe because also Ciryl Gane, he brought in a lot of grapplers in his last training camp against Sergey Spivak. And you know, maybe we've seen some improved grappling defense. I also said maybe because the reason why I don't talk about the Tuivasa and Ciryl Gane fight is because it actually showed that Ciryl Gane got the dog in him.
It do.
Because it almost like he woke up the beast. He got knocked down, he popped back up. But then he actually
Ty falls into the category of people you show up and show out against.
Well, I'm saying, but Ciryl Gane was able to go from 0 to 100.
I know, but he chose to do it on Tatu Ivasa, but he wouldn't have done that to John Jones